Welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning on Channels Television, and we're broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. As you know, our conversation on the program today is going to be on driving investment growth through monetary policies. And I'm being joined on the program by the country rep of the International Institute for Investment Promotion, Ogbonna Ukuku. He joins us via telephone from our studios in Abuja. Also, he joins us live, I beg your pardon, and also joining me on the program, but here in our Lagos studio is Arinze Nwobu. He's a financial market analyst and a chartered stockbroker. Good morning, Arinze. Thank you for coming in. And also good morning, Mr. Ukuku. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. Well, let me start with you, since we're talking about driving investment. What are your thoughts on the expectations or the intent of statement of agenda of Mr. Godwin Emefiele?
The agenda is quite straightforward, and what he's actually considering is actually he's trying to focus on development finance, which is very welcome, because when you begin to take first bites, what we call an investment promotion, who takes the first bites? When you begin to take first bites, then you can now make people see the interesting part of certain sectors, and then more investment will be driven towards that direction. But we are not expecting a magic, because the truth is, from the monetary point of view, he will make recommendations, but he cannot implement fully, because he still needs those at the physical end to be able to actually carry out some of this, practicalize some of this, processes that he wants done. So we need to still look at the fiscal area, which is those from the fiscal point must be ready and must have a robust formation to be able to carry out some of these good ideas.
Well, Mr. Ukuku, just hold on to your thoughts. Still talking about the processes to, carry out the policy drive that Mr. Emefiele has actually started out. Let's talk to you now, Mr. Nwobu. The capital market, of course, is an integral part and also reacts whatever decisions are taken as regards the monetary policies. And from what we saw happening on Friday, the market actually had a knee-jerk kind of reaction, especially when they heard that there was going to be a gradual reduction in interest rates, even though he says it's not going to happen until after the elections. But the negativity was felt nonetheless.
Yes. Interest rate has a lot of part to play in the operations of the capital market. And sincerely speaking, Mr. Emefiele has made his point that there's going to be a gradual reduction in interest rate. But I am still waiting to see to what extent and when the timing will be, because the situation right now does not really support a drop.
But he said after the elections.
Even after the elections, I'm going to see how phased it's going to be, because certainly, like you said, it's going to be gradual. Now, the gradual, I don't know the limit to which it's going to get to that, because these things operate in a cycle. You drop the interest rates, yes, the capital market begins to benefit from it. But then there's a spin-off effect in the money market, in the sense that liquidity is also increased. And with what we are seeing right now, there is an increase in money supply in the system, which is threatening the inflation rate. So it's something that he really has to be very strategic about in handling. This is where his dexterity will actually come to play, because these things, you need balancing act. That's right.
So, well, money supply is a little high at the moment, yes, but it's about 5 point. It's still not up to the 15%.
No, it's still not up to the benchmark set for 2014. Quite okay. But then we have to look at Why did it increase? What are the prospects? Because we have to be futuristic about these things. We know where we are coming from, where we are, and what led to where we are, and then what the future is likely going to be. So in that sense, the CBN has to really set up, a very strong econometric model to be able to do some kind of, economic, prognostications. That's right.
Now, Mr. Ukuku, I'm coming back to you on this one. Mr. Nwobu actually talked about the spin-off effect in the money market. Now, as an investment expert, would you say Mr. Emefiele's monetary policy stance is favorable for investors in the country, both at the capital market and the money market, before we even look at foreign investors who will be coming in?
Yeah, definitely, because I don't even know why we expect. Okay. Definitely. What I don't even know why we expect a magic to happen, because the truth is, since 2013 up until this time, the last MPC meeting, everything have remained the same. Nothing has really changed, and the economic realities are still there. So nothing would change, immediately. Now, but what I expect is a situation where we'll begin to work towards enterprise development, where he's talked about sector-specific, training our bankers to be sector-specific, the loan process to be sector-specific. I was expecting a situation where we'll also look at how development finance institutions in the country will be strengthened so that they will be able to fund some of our industries that have been, allowed to just sit there fallow. For example, the solid mineral sector have just been sitting there. Now, apart from looking at financing, trying to, because one of the issues, is actually the weight on our currency is actually because we are an import-dependent country. Now, trying to solve the problem of importation as a country would be to support the local production of some of those commodities that are very needed. Now, if you do that, we have to also try to strike a balance in the trade imbalance that already exists between us and so many countries that we are up against. I say up against because in a scenario where you look at monetary and fiscal policy like a football match, now the defenders are actually those from the monetary policy angle. Now, the strikers are the ones who are at the fiscal end, because it is more of what they do at the fiscal end that determines the victory or the deliverables that you get whenever you are running an economy. So those at the fiscal end must come out with enterprise development strategies that will actually help Emefiele not to be coming out to try and score goals, rather stay back at where he should be to actually stabilize the currency and then stabilize price, which is what his job should be.
Well, Mr. Ukuku, could you just talk about some of these enterprise development projects?
Say again.
Mr. Ukuku, if you can hear me, what I'm asking is, you talked about the fact that there should be enterprise development projects and we should have support. So could you just talk about some of them? Okay,
let's even look at, for example, let's look at the SME sector. Now, for the SME sector to actually thrive, you need to actually have enough resources to support the SME sector. Now, he said something about venture capital. Now, I also expect him to also go back to what was in existence in CBN and try to legalize it with the Bankers Committee to actually make small and medium-scale enterprise. There's a scheme, SMEs. That scheme to actually start working. Now, because if you have a venture capital system that is working, now in a nation like ours where we are doing so much, but we're not doing enough because the overwhelming unemployment rate in Nigeria needs more drastic approach to actually solve them. Because as it stands now, if all the interventions that CBN tried to do from 2013 till date can actually boast, we can actually boast of 1.8 million jobs created. That's taken from the National Bureau of Statistics. That means we have not done anything, because if the job deficit is at 30 million, and then more people are still going to come out to look for jobs, graduates and those who are technically trained. Now, so that leaves us at a point where industries like I mentioned, the SMEs, then the agriculture, the agri sector, which it has so many parts. Now, lending has always been around the oil and gas sector. And where he is coming from, what I noticed is that some of those banks, they only lend to blue chip companies that have already arrived. So we must be able to dissipate and actually be able to lend to smaller businesses. Yes, you mentioned something like that, but the practical part of this is actually we must get the development finance institutions to start working. I want to veer a bit to the solid mineral sector. Now, some of the solid mineral that exist in this country are so untapped. So we need to actually, get what I call the enterprise development cowboys, who can actually advise the government on how to, catch in on those opportunities that are still lying down there.